Hey everybody, welcome to Chewing the Fat, where we talk about everything and nothing all at the same time. Like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Uh, Thanks for joining. Here on Chewing the Fat, we like to talk about everything between philosophy, theology, current events, conspiracy theories. Everything we talk about in the show is opinion, speculation, and we're not experts in any kind of field, so we just like to chew the fat, you know, talk about, see what comes up. We have on the show, we have Awaken LJ, and we have David. Let's see. There we go. So as we were at, the big current event today is Charlie Kirk and his assassination. God rest his soul. I mean, he was out there, he was hitting the bricks, he was talking to people, he was engaging in conversation. And some people didn't like the conversation he was having, but nonetheless, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. But there is a lot of theories going out, a lot of, I guess you could say, uh, not misinformation, but a lot of stories, a lot of conflicting facts that don't make sense. And there was a page when during the Trump assassination attempt, there was a page called Peak Prosperity that did a excellent breakdown of everything in there, like to angles, trajectory, all this stuff. So he has a little bit of video here we're going to play about because the weapon they used was a 30-06 round, which is a very big round. I have a 308 rifle, and they're very similar in size. Like I have a bullet right here. This is a 308 round. So a 30-06 is a little bit bigger. It's got more powder. It's got more oomph behind it. So, and this round has like a max range of like 800 yards. The 30-06 is a little about 1,000 yards. So his shot was taken at 140 yards, which is nothing in that outrange it can go. So they found the bullet stuck in his neck. Like I don't believe it. So when we watch this little video, he doesn't believe it either because that bullet has so much oomph behind it. It cuts through 30 and 3/4 steel like butter, like nice little cigarette burn hole through the metal. So let's watch this video real quick and then we'll talk about it. Oh, technical difficulties. I have to share the screen. Let's find our format. There we go. And we're going to share. Nope, not yet. There we go.
Event. By the way, that out and back is very rapid. It's maybe 1/1000th of a second. So capturing that event with a 30 frames per second thing, you're going to miss it more often than not. In this video, we didn't miss it. So again, zero chance a bullet traveling this path right here was going to be stopped by a human neck. Again, this is what it looks like even with a 300 blackout, a much less energetic round. A 30-06 would have been just way more larger of a cavitation event. But even with this, you can see it penetrates really far into the gel.
So it penetrates really far. You watch the further in the video, they say that it penetrates at least 19 or 30. One of them is, and it's a 300 blackout, which is smaller than a 30-06. Penetrates 19 inches deep. So your neck is only 5 or 6 inches deep. So that bullet right through. So I'm sorry, I'm having a lull here. Awaken LJ, David, you have any comments on what you think? Oh, your mic's off, LJ. There we go.
Yeah, sorry about that. Hey, everyone. Awakened LJ here, and I know that this is probably really sensitive for a lot of people. Hearing about and seeing the video footage that we've all been seeing and all the different theories a lot of people have, they're not really taking it at face value with the information that has been provided. There seem to be, I would say, some holes, in what they're giving us. It just doesn't really jive. Something in my soul is just telling me that, I am a veteran of the United States Air Force. And when they said 30-6, Quentin and David, I don't know about you guys, but to me, it just didn't make sense. And I've seen a lot of ballistics being done, on that specific rifle, as well, or not even a rifle, a bolt action, as well as that specific round. And just a lot of those ballistics testings that we've seen aren't really making a whole lot of sense, given, this is supposed to be the entry wound here, and that trajectory, even going at a different type, it would just really have gone right through him. We would have seen a whole lot more evidence on the back. There's some suspicious activity with camera footage being taken, and not really seeing any detective work with roping off, any investigation, the hatch. I mean, there's so many different angles to this thing, but definitely a 3-6, 30-6, however you want to call it. Doesn't seem likely that was the shot. David, do you agree with this, or where are you sitting on all this?
I mean, right away, like the initial reporting was what they were pumping out there was already suspicious when they start redacting or retracking what they already released from the moment that they've got word of his shot. And from the get, so like, am I suspicious? Yes, of course. They did the same thing when Trump was shot, with everything that what they claim is evidence afterwards, and the way they released information, the way they went about doing all that. And that's like the important thing too. If all these entities from Secret Service all the way down to the local sheriff department and police departments, for sure they all team together to get an action plan going before. And so where they struggle to pass information along about a key suspect or suspicious character entering the property before or after, like right there was one that we all were talking about back then when this was happening. So even with this case, of course, once we found out exactly what happened 33 some hours later, and in that time, they're asking the public before releasing any information to go through and help them with this investigation. So, I mean, yeah, and specifically that bullet, they didn't really release anything specifically noticing anything to the gun, even well after 33 hours. We wanted to know who the person was before we even knew what was the thing that took this man's life. Yes, it was a gunshot. Yes, they mimicked something to make it look like a neck wound. There's a lot of swirling questions that are going around, especially with the location. And if it was in that main artery, I'm a bigger person. I'm larger. My neck is certainly a lot larger. And so if you hit this little nugget of a neck, there's going to be some blowback behind me. There's, your main artery is right there. So you would expect a little bit more. He was wearing a white t-shirt as well as that white black backdrop too. A lot of swirling questions that we're probably going to ask ourselves and talk about again well after this too, because be honest, if they really do fumble an investigation and something else changes, it's going to be well after this period in which we're talking. That's what I think.
It's definitely like the magic bullet theory with JFK. It just seems like all the information that either were being provided, and not just this event, all events, it seems as though there's no transparency.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely no transparency. And like Dave was saying, that there's like just shady people around. Did you guys see this? This is part of his crew here, just scooping up video, scooping up shit, looking
And he's
around.
clearly in the video looking around. It makes me feel like he even knows he's doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Dave?
Like, why are you looking around?
Right.
Why are you taking stuff? Why aren't you giving that right to the police?
Exactly.
Supposedly, this material is already with TSA and Turning Point USA. They have it. Obviously, we probably can assume it's with the FBI. You know, we see Kash Patel come out on the internet, on X, stating they're listening to conspiracy theorists now. It was on Nancy Grace that she did a broadcast about how they are listening to the internet sleuths and paying attention, because how many millions of people are looking at this?
Right.
People who have military training, who are snipers, who have, you know, ability to do the testing of the sound and where it could have potentially come from in the crowd. So there is a lot of theories. I did really enjoy the Peak Prosperity. We love him. He does a great job, as Quentin had mentioned. If you get a chance to go over to his channel and check it out, he did drop a new video last night or the day before about everything, you know, testing and all this information on just some of the relevant information that just doesn't seem to line up, and he's not going for it either. So definitely, you know, I do appreciate Candace Owens trying to bring a light. Charlie Kirk was always for, you know, truth and transparency, and he wanted people to, you know, stand up and use their voice. And I think that that's what we're doing here. Quentin?
Yeah, I think that's why, you know, one of the reasons I started the podcast is so we could get together, we can have meaningful conversations about subjects that matter. You know, we could chew the fat on things that matter to us, the things that are important, the morals, our principles, our faith, things that Charlie Kirk encouraged, and you know, have open dialogue with people with different, not even, you know, different or that's our dachshund in the background. If you don't have a dachshund, I suggest you get one, but understand it comes with a disclaimer, just like our videos, that they are adorable. Like, that's what I joke, that her cuteness is a neurotoxin because it shuts down your nervous system. But she's also a handful. She's
Right.
barking at the wind. She's growling at a twig. She whines all the time. Like, it's a, you know, it's a trade-off. She
Well,
escapes
dogs are
when we
similar
get
to their
pizza,
owners.
and you know, it just, that's the price of having a dachshund. They're outstanding. They're great, and that's that. You know, but I saw something interesting, and I didn't pull it up. I couldn't have time to find it. But so 33, Charlie Kirk took 33 hours. He was 33, was he not? Or no, he was 31, wasn't it?
31.
But he was 31. But the guy's case number for the case, if you add it up, equals 33. I saw it on one of the things, and I didn't have time to pull it up, but it's very it's just, there's so many different conflicting stories, and that, like, that's what that Peak Prosperity is. He I guess he has a PhD in pathology. He just goes to he uses the scientific method. Like, I have these facts, let's make a story out of the facts we have. And if
Yeah.
you know, oh, I have this idea, but you know, the facts, the data doesn't meet the facts I'm giving, so he changes his story. Okay, that story doesn't fit with the facts I'm giving. So what possibly could happen? And he talks later in the episode that there's a more likely shooter position, which is closer but higher. Like there's in the beginning of the video, he's like panning over uh the whole thing. I was like, there's so many. Well, why is there so many roofs? Like here, well, let me share my screen here real quick. And let's get there. So right here,
Forward just a tiny bit. Right from
he's over here.
Zoom in here. Right here. Yep, that would have been a good shooting spot. All right. So
Boom, 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 boom.
this
all
is
these
the alleged
roofs.
shooting position.
Like, so his theory to take the facts, because he says in his video that he's like, I don't get, I still bound by physics facts, that for there to be no bullet or the bullet to be found, he had to be closer and a higher angle so that it would hit something back here and stop the bullet. And that's what people are saying, that like bullets are like traveling like this and it hits something and just goes down. No, it hits something and then is 4 inches off 100 yards down the, like my old man hunting, and you hit a twig, it messes you up. Like you won't hit where you want to hit. It's not like you hit the twig and it veers hard left, So that's what he was saying, that these deflected bullets and stuff like that is hogwash, because that's not how bullets work. They're on a trajectory, and it takes something of equal or more force to knock them off that trajectory. And bones, and with being the caliber of the weapon, human bones don't ricochet bullets, not of that velocity and not that oomph behind them. But that's it's just there's a lot of inconsistencies in the whole story, and then as they let more out, it gets muddier. Like it's like, oh, what now? What am I supposed to think? Like, oh, here we have this other fact that the shooter was laying on his back and shot on his stomach, and that's what made the trajectory. What are you talking about? Like it's every new news break gets more outlandish than the previous.
Right.
Like Candace Owens said something about like they have clear, definitive image of him at Dairy Queen, which I joked after. I'm like, when you do a big thing like that, what do you want to celebrate with? An ice cream cake from Dairy Queen? Like he was there. That's what he was there for. But LJ has more on. She's been watching a lot of Candace Owens, and she knows more about that whole her going off on Charlie Kirk, because Charlie Kirk was her friend, and we could say that people are blatantly lying, and she's not having it. She wants to get to the bottom of it, and she's being tenacious about it.
Yeah, she's not going to let it go. And I don't blame her, because with every incident that we see across the board, information is concealed. There we got Mia in the background. She's with her squeaker.
I did
almost
a
took off, so
dachshund.
you heard me yell, huh? Sorry.
I did a dachshund disclaimer that they are wonderful, but they're a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's always information that's concealed. And I totally understand that you're going to have information concealed. This is still an ongoing investigation, but it seems as though right away this is being used as a tool to talk about right and left oh, well, now the shooter's, involved with somebody who may have radicalized him. I mean, getting involved in, and he became very political over the years when he went to college. We do know that schools have influenced children, and maybe doing this in colleges where they're influencing the kids in the college to a more lean one way or another. I hate the fact that it's always something about a left or a right narrative. You see a lot of the young people who just won't want to even talk about Charlie because they already have it in their mind that he was involved in hate speech, and that, you've seen a lot of videos. It feels as though that, there may be things that were taken out of context, and it's unfortunate that people turn to violence. Of course, we don't want to see this. We should be able to have an open forum conversation, but definitely something doesn't pass the smell test here. It just seems off from the text messages that look like, somebody from Generation X wrote those. I also noticed, there's a dot, which looks like a period. I thought it was ... which is typically seen in a Gen Xer who's texting, giving all this information, everything we need to know about where he was, what he did, where he dropped the gun. I mean, who does that? Who does that? And that period space ... Who
You're
texts like that? I didn't notice it right away, but upon re-examining it several times, that was like, that's odd. Well, and it was multiple times throughout the text.
Yeah.
And so this right away, and then you have the right. Unfortunately, yes, we see them propping this up and using this now as Charlie has now become the martyr. And we all know from history what happens when we have a martyr. And unfortunately, now this is giving them more momentum for their cause. And, I am a faith person and person of faith. And I am all for spreading love and kindness and believing in Jesus. But you definitely see there's something suspicious. I just reviewed last night also. I was on, and I don't know if you saw it, Dave, but Charlie Kirk, his actual show is still going on, and they're having people come on as guests. Now, last night, Erica was on, his wife, and there's some interesting things around her and about her and her past, and definitely, somebody who's grieving. I know, my family has lost somebody over the past year, and that family member is still grieving, hardly can bear it. And here you see Erica on Charlie Kirk's show last night, and everybody can go to Charlie Kirk, on YouTube and check it out for yourselves. But she seems, at peace, and maybe she has found peace given her faith, but it just seems odd. It seems odd, Dave, because this isn't how we normally typically see somebody reacting. And sure, everybody grieves differently. I get that. But she's very happy. And it's only been 17 days, Dave. It's only been 17 days since we lost him. And their TPA USA, there's two arms of it. They have raised over $5 million. Dave, what do you think about this?
Well, yeah. I mean, anybody grieving, first of all, it's a process, right? And so, as well as some can take it more than others, and something on a scale as large as this, in the political arena, a lot of things surrounding that, and then just talk about the guy himself starting to leave college, leave the acumen that you would be getting the accreditation from what we would suggest is when we were growing up, how it would be after you get this degree. He turned and made a decision to keep a conversation and to start a conversation that people were willing to have anymore, because people were stopping to talk and people weren't pressing on. Talk about somebody taking a challenge and moving forward. Maybe she used some of what he did as a sign to pivot through that grief. But yeah, $5 million is quite of a lot to make somebody change a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying that's what's going on here, but there's a lot of things surrounding that. I have noticed those. I have seen these in the last couple of days. Uh, that whirlwind, and if that is like a thing, first off, if you can think it and they're reporting it and then we're talking about it, is it that crazy? So,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely. One big psyop, one big psyop.
of course,
And I personally just think Charlie Kirk has passed on. He was murdered on public television, pretty much. Because YouTube's and the screaming are public television. I think it is in terrible bad taste to continue that person's show after they've passed. Like either change it to saying in memoriam Charlie Kirk show. Like just stop. I think it's bad taste to say, oh, we're still running the Charlie Kirk show. Everybody here, what's his name? Ben Shapiro came on. JD Vance. I guess JD Vance's show on the Charlie Kirk was like an in memoriam for Charlie Kirk, but the show shouldn't be called the Kirk show anymore. It should be in memoriam. Like, it's like it would be like putting out live videos from a past loved one's Facebook account. It's weird. I that's just my personal take on that. But LJ made a great point about a psyop. So that leads us into our next topic, which is predictive programming. So I'm going to share my screen here. It has a little snippet of what predictive programming is. It is it's a conspiracy theory, of course, that predictive programming, and this is Google's AI definition. Predictive programming is a conspiracy theory concept that claims mainstream media, through its fictional stories, prepares the public mind for future planned events or policies, making them more receptive when these events occur in reality. It suggests the seemingly fictional scenarios in movies and TVs are not coincidental, but are intentionally designed to normalize and desensitize the audience to future societal shifts. So, for instance, the movie Songbird that was on Hulu, where everybody had a different bracelet that you scanned, and people that had, they were immune could move freely. People that couldn't had a different bracelet. They couldn't leave their house. Everything was tracked, traced, databased, and that was just for. And another one is what is another guy? I just lost it. It was the movie Contagion with Lawrence Fishburne. He talks about it. That it's eerily similar to what happened during COVID. So there's this little TikTok about this movie called Snake Eyes that came out in 1998 that has some eerie similarities to Charlie Kirk.
Seen this. I was going to bring this up. That's funny that you're bringing that up, because I have.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, ooh, I want to talk about that, and I wrote some notes down.
I know it's there. I'm learning the sharing the tabs and stuff like that. So pardon the delays.
What we're about to do in this video is going to blow this whole thing open and leave no room for doubt that this is predictive programming. This is Operation Mockingbird. This is Actually, a little bit deeper than both of those things, because, in my opinion, this is a classic case of the writers of a movie getting information from demons, from spirits, from the spiritual realm about future events that will come. So we're going to get into this in more detail, but real quick, I just want to say that this movie, it stars Nicolas Cage. It's about an event, a live event at Trump Tower, okay, on September 10th. A live event on September 10th at Trump Tower that a boxer named Tyler, a live event on September 10th at Trump Tower that a boxer named Tyler the Executioner, okay, seriously, Tyler the Executioner, I'll put the picture up right here. Who is the executioner in our timeline? Tyler, okay? So Tyler the Executioner on September 10th, he causes a distraction and allows a man named Charles, okay, Charlie, Charles Kirkland, to be shot in the neck. Why, you might ask? Well, if it's not creepy enough, it's because, well, let's just say it has to do with Israel, Israeli weapons, and some shady things that are happening behind the scenes. Just like in real life, Charlie Kirk came out against Israel, and the possible, well, he didn't come out against Israel. He came out against Jeffrey Epstein and the possible ties Jeffrey Epstein had or has with Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just break this down, and I really want you guys to listen carefully, because what we're about to go over and what we're about to explain is really one of the most chilling examples. Some people might call it art imitating life, life imitating art, but I think it's something deeper, something far darker than that. And that's channeling something. That's the people that wrote this movie were channeling something far darker. And it's really unavoidable at this point, and it's unexplainable unless you really use critical thinking and you think about this through the lens of the Bible. And we'll get into that. So we're going to make this whole thing connect.
Sorry about that. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I saw that earlier. I wrote some notes down and was gonna talk about that. Yeah, I mean, predictive programming, is that a thing? I mean, as AI is launching, is that a coincidence that that's something that we're talking about? You know, who knows? It does happen in a lot of other movies as well. I mean, you talk about predictive any life event that's been occurring. The Simpsons has like one of the longest run on predicting things that were happening in our timeline, and they've been doing that. So I don't know if you're aware of that too. You should, if you
Oh yeah, The
are,
Simpsons. Well, like Trump going down the escalator is one of
yeah,
them. Supposedly there's 9/11 in there,
there's a lot.
but yeah. Well, that's what I said. I think I said in a previous show. If you've seen it in a movie, they've already developed it, and if you hear
Yeah,
about it in the news, they've already used it. LJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree, Q. I think that what we're seeing and what we have seen throughout the history of us being alive is a lot of this predictive programming. And, we'll see it and then it happens. And it's just another question mark, right? About what is really going on. I really don't. I personally feel that, they keep saying that this is the great American experiment. And I often question that. Why are they saying this to us? We're just all little test subjects running around in their little game, pawns in their little game that they have going. And it is frustrating. It's frustrating to be in this situation and scenario, of course, because we're just trying to put food on the tables. We're just trying to get through the day. And here we have the millionaires, the one percenters who are running everything, and we don't have any say in what happens. And we vote and we try to make a difference and make a change. And then, really they have an ultimate kind of plan. And this little clip here is kind of interesting. And I wanted to try to find a clip that I saw to that gentleman's point, saying that it almost might be some sort of demonic possession of how the movies is able to almost predict, what is going to happen in the future. How do they have foreknowledge? I found it quite interesting. We have it in our thumbnail, is that balloon with the eyeball, which we see in our dollar bill, that always watching, always overarching on us. And I found it interesting that Nicolas Cage, and I don't know if you guys have either seen this, Dave or Q, or the audience, that Nicolas Cage is quite a character. And he does a lot of developing for his roles before he does them. So much so in an interview that I'm going to have to find. And so much so that he will take parts of clothing or material and put it in his pocket or to channel. And he had said this in interviews, which I thought was quite interesting. Channel the person or try to pull in almost some sort of energetic force to guide him through the role. Now, what do you guys think about that? Do you think that that could be something that these people in Hollywood are doing and to get the messaging across to us in these movies?
I think for sure they're doing it. I think they're harnessing. I mean, look at what's his name, Travis Scott in Astroland. Like, the whole stage was an upside down cross, and then the whole thing that happened, like that was like, it's almost like it's like Monsters Inc. You know what I mean? Like they're sucking the fear out of people and using it to keep themselves young or whatever. Like, and it's crazy. Like Stephen King's book. Well, I haven't read the book, but his movie Doctor Sleep, where there's these people these vampires that's suck, get fear, their energy, get people in a fearful state and take their energy. And then they're, like Pennywise the clown, he feeds on your fear. Like it's right there. It's in everybody's faces. And that's what they say. The demonic have to tell you what they're doing. It's up to us. They don't have to tell you plainly. There's he's like I don't know what to call him, like an exorcist assistant. He was on the Sean Ryan show called Dan Schneider. He's got a PhD in theology. He said that he mentioned that movie Nefarious that we watched. That's how demonic are, like lawyers from hell. No pun intended. They're bound by rules of engagement, but there's loopholes, and that's some of my own shortcomings are that, well, why would God make loopholes, but they have to tell us what they're doing, but they don't tell us plainly, so they do it in riddles or they do it in imagery, and it's up to us to discern, or to, like Jesus said, beware of false prophets. It's us to rule them out as wicked or just. And they're everywhere. Like it's and the Dan Snyder talks about it. It's not good to see the devil around every corner, but it's also not good to think he doesn't exist, or evil or demons or any of, that dark spirituality doesn't exist, like, because it's happening all the time. Like, and then you have like one of LJ's favorite movies of all time is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and they talk about what Hollywood's doing about the adrenochrome and stuff like that, and it's wild once you start paying attention, or a lot of people say once you start tuning in to what they're actually doing, or what is speculating that they're doing.
Yeah, allegedly doing.
Alle- this show is all opinion, it's all speculation, and just like chewing the fat, take it with a little grain of salt, and just don't. We're not experts. It's speculation, it's opinion, it's entertainment,
A conversation.
a conversation. So, but yeah, it's wild. There's videos like this, and yeah, Nick Cage is something else. Like that movie, just in itself, without the imagery, without the symbolism, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Dave, sorry to interrupt. Dave, did you see it?
Oh yeah. It's one of my favorite. That Face Off and like Snake Eyes were around like two years from each other. Those are like one of like the best all time movies. I think
Yeah,
I've
Face
seen
Off.
Snake Eyes probably a handful of times. Face Off I've seen a bunch of times. Con Air, that was another one by him.
That is
You know,
a good
he's
one.
just a great actor all around. You know,
Yeah.
hats off to what you can do as a professional when you get to that kind of a stage. Sure, are some of these stories written and some of them dabbled in with a little truth? Are these writers a part of something bigger? Well, you know, this narrative has already been pushed for a long time. Yes, you already mentioned it. The America, the Great Experiment. I mean, this started with the moon landing. Where was it filmed? There were so many questions that they were not asking then that we're asking now, and how film adapts to where we're at now with digital stuff, and how we can make things that are there and not there, and just, you know, a lot of things. You know, why would that be something? Is that a part of something bigger? You have to tell us. Is that a thing? You know, there's a handful of movies I know we could probably look up a list, and they're all from different years, probably within the last 20 to 30 years, that are just like what you were just explaining right there, in which there's like eerie similarities to what a movie is and to what the reality is of that time period that it was released, or even after that time period, you know. So
Yeah, for sure. We just watched it for the first time last night, so it
Snake
was
Eyes.
yeah, Snake Eyes. And I'm telling you what, it was, first of all, it was just very fast in the beginning, and then just seeing some of that symbolism throughout, it was like, wow, I didn't even know that this movie came out in 98. I didn't see it. But yeah, to your point, Dave, Nick Cage is, I mean, he's a great actor, and but I did find that interview a little odd because I know he's into a lot of weird things and things that he collects, and just hearing him from his own mouth kind of talk about how he prepares and how he really becomes these characters. I was just kind of like, wow, I mean, it's a little bit of like magic almost, if you will. And we found one clip, or I was listening to a clip where they were talking about Hollywood and where the name originated. And Quentin, I don't know if you have that as well, but some gentleman across the way that I came across, he was saying that Hollywood's name was originated from the holly bush or Hollywood tree, and witches would make their wands from holly wood. And I thought that was interesting. And then come to find out, also in Harry Potter, Harry's wand is made of Hollywood. And you see all that stuff through Disney, and just all of the kind of things that they are doing in the background that are kind of latent, right? Your kids aren't watching it and seeing this, and even as adults it's kind of hard to see. So unknowingly we may be watching something, going to a concert, and being a part of some sort of something larger, because like to your point, Quentin, like the energy harvesting, and they were making mention of that with Charlie Kirk's. And of course, that's really way down the rabbit hole here. But, you know, as to Dave's point, you know, everything does have a little bit of truth in it. So, you know, it just kind of makes you wonder, and you want to live in a happy life, and you want to do things that are going to be bringing love. But you also do want to have awareness, right, of what we're consuming, because you don't know what these people are doing. You just don't.
No.
You have to guard your energy and your spirit, because we are energetic beings. So
That we are. And while you were talking about that, I looked up movies. I Googled, which if you notice, the Google has like the old school original Google, but films linked to predictive programming. So let me share this to the stage here. And look at that. We have The Network, a film exploring how media networks cynically use
That was a good
deranged
one.
anchors. I have to see that one yet. I haven't seen
Oh man,
it.
that's a really good one, and it's even with the conspiracies that people were talking about when we were like in high school, so like the time period in which we're in now in our life, like watching that movie is like it's like when you read 1984 almost.
Oh wow. Okay.
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna have to watch it.
there's a lot of similarities, and there's a lot of symbolism, and there's a lot of things that are uh in this movie that, oh man, that's a good one. I haven't seen that one in a minute.
Then it has, so the film explores how media cynically uses a deranged actor's ravings for profits, but the themes of media manipulation and its potential loss of control are often cited as examples of predictive programming. Then they have, and I haven't seen this one too. This is stars one of Laura's favorite wrestlers, Roddy Piper. They Live.
That's a good
I'm
one.
sure that's the one you see that has the glasses, obey, all that stuff.
That's a good one.
The movie features a story where a subliminal messaging are used to influence people's decisions without their awareness, which is key concept in predictive programming.
Yeah.
Which we watched something about that. We watched a documentary on Netflix called Buy Now, the shopper conspiracy, and the lady worked at Amazon that changed the color, like, and how people like, oh, green is the best. They click on green the most, so they switched it to green so that they would get more. The Terminator, of course, which I thought there was an eerie similarity between Skynet and Elon Musk's. What is it? What is his thing? Elon Musk's service. Starlink. Yeah. Skynet, Starlink, like I couldn't even remember it. What is it?
It's just funny.
That's what you call a brain fart.
Yeah, as my old man would call them, sometimers. I got sometimers. And then sometimers turns into most timers, and then you get Alzheimer's all the time. But what are the other potential films associated with the concept include The Experiment, Eyes Wide Shut. That is a fucked up movie there too. They have like 8 ancient or secret rituals and stuff like that's like the Illuminati, or what's that Bohemian something or other.
Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove. I swear, this dog is driving me nuts.
Reminds me of a pirate joke.
Yeah. I know that joke. It's a good one.
You do know it?
I know that one.
A lot of people don't know it.
I've heard that one. It may have been from you that I've heard that one.
It's such an old joke. It makes me laugh. That's why.
How about you tell it to us?
Pirate walks into a bar, Laura, and he's got the helm around his waist like a belt buckle. He goes to the bartender and says, "Arr, let me order a rum." And the bartender says, "Well, why are you wearing a helm?" "Yeah, I'll pour you a drink." And he's pouring his drink, and he goes, "Arr, because it drives me nuts." It's just a stupid joke. I heard that a long time ago.
Well,
It's still one of my
there's more
favorite
to it.
jokes.
So it's like he shortened it. He's like, oh, he comes in. Pirate's got well, there's another pirate joke. I don't know if it's the same one. You can add it in. So pirate goes to the bar. He's sitting. He gets a drink, and the bartender he's like, hey man, how'd you get that? How'd you get that hook on your hand? He's like, listen, I was in a battle and I got it cut off in battle. He's like, oh man, that's cool. Man. He's like, how'd you get that eye patch? He's like, I had an itch in my eye.
Yeah, with the hook. Gotcha.
He's right. So we set up my studio here, and on the one side of the table, we stashed all the toys that Mia can't have. Like the stuffing's coming off, the costumes that don't fit, all of it.
Yeah.
So now she's seen them. So I don't know if you can hear it on the mic, if it's picking it up, but she's whining because she wants her secret stash of toys that we've taken away.
I don't hear it.
No, okay. That's good. But let's go into the next. It's 51 minutes. We're almost there. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about the 3iAltas, this interstellar object, and some more. All right, we're back. So LJ found this, and it is this. We'll start with this TikTok. It's this. I guess there's this thing in outer space that is coming at us, and it's been a weird. Maybe David brought this up too. It's been weird. It changes trajectory. It's not acting like an asteroid or a comet. It changes trajectory. It goes off radar, and it's past Mars now. So people are a little scared. So let's watch this little TikTok first. Let me get that queued up. No pun intended. And because it's
I come here for the pun, man. What the heck? I'm trying to fill up my pun.
All right. We are going to get this queued up here. And this is from Isana Shop. I didn't give credit to the first video about the snake eyes, but I'll have all the links in the description after the show.
And was going to start to spin faster. It comes to a point. So apparently the planet that we're all sitting on right now is going to start to spin.
Oh, that's a separate thing. But I guess in the next coming years, months, whatever, the Earth is going to start spinning faster. So this young lady talks about it.
Spin faster. It comes to a point. So, due to it spinning faster, days are going to get shorter. And they are predicting that this is going to happen over the next few months. Not few years, not few centuries, in a few days, basically. Because that's how it's going to feel. I hate to say what this sounds like, but it's been one thing after another, after another, after another. I'm just saying, it comes to a point where we just got to sit down and reevaluate life. But I'm making this video to be the one to remind y'all, don't let worldly things distract y'all from thyself and thy faith. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I just like to spread common sense and common sense only. But this has been confirmed by NASA. I just want y'all to go look and do your own research about this because it's too much going on behind closed doors. I can't do this no more. So apparently the planet.
So that's interesting. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to just jump right in here. And it's like you hear so many people talking about how
it comes to a point
fast time seems to be going. Now, that is something that happens as we get older. But I was just thinking, what is going to happen if this is the case, that time or the Earth is rotating quicker? Doesn't that mean that we're going to start to, like, the seasons are going to start to change and we're going to see, things really kind of speed up on the Earth, like literally? I don't know. What do you think, Dave? What do you think, Q?
I think it's quite alarming. I mean, the Earth goes through its cycles and stuff like that all the time. Like that's people like you and I know George Carlin. Like the planet's not going anywhere. We are. So the planet's going to be fine, but how are we going to do? Are we going to actually like scorch Earth the planet before we before our natural exit, and then the planet will start over? Like, how will we react to this news? Like, let's talk about back to predictive programming in this subject. And that asteroid, don't look up. Like,
yeah,
like here it is. Like, there's Dan and I, Dave, you both know Dan, a friend of mine, Dan. It's a book called Nomad. I can't remember the author, but it's about this asteroid that comes through the solar system, wipes out, knocks us around, and then we end up being somehow the black hole pulls us, but the same distance we were from the sun or slightly further out, so the planet's colder and all this stuff. But like it's in literature, it's in movies, the predictive programming is there all the time. Like, oh hey, the world's gonna end. It could end this way, and here we are. And I have the article pulled up, the comet 3iAltas. Like and I think it's showing its trajectory here. I don't know if I can zoom this in. I can zoom this in like this,
it's interesting.
Well, what I think about the first Earth spinning faster, days getting shorter, we're thinking about where this came from. This information was released by NASA and confirmed by NASA. What else was released by NASA that it also was deemed as faulty and man-made and to screw with us purposely? So, I mean, yeah, this is another form of this type of fear to heighten you to, in some cases, because they don't have anything that they can do to try to stop it, but sometimes they would say, in the interest of humanity, for your safety.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always used as a form of fear, but it is a form of control in some capacity, for sure. Yeah, nuts. And then the 3iAltas, there was a few things that have come up on the telescope in the last 20 some years that they thought were bigger, larger, other identified objects that have come through our solar system and was marked and deemed something that it was either from something like a planet or it wasn't a material that they don't even know. And they're still trying to figure that out.
Right.
When 3iAltas, when they figured that it probably wasn't an asteroid, was when the camera had noticed a reflection. And asteroids don't give reflection.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so it had to do with the light. And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. And that's when I kind of got interested. People were talking about it or heard it on the radio, news. I was like, another one of those things to try to scare us, not really listening to it. Then I heard someone confirm that the reason why they're looking into it more is because specifically it was not an asteroid, it was not a meteor or anything of the sort, because it had a light reflection on it.
Yeah, LJ sent me this TikTok that the 4 telescopes just confirmed 3i is unlike anything in the universe. So let's watch a little bit.
Interesting. Obviously, this is not what I normally cover because it's not, well, it's kind of related. It's space related, but I just, I want you guys to know what's going on. So more information on 3iAltas. Now, it's getting a little bit, let's just say, abnormal at this point in time based on some more verification. So 4 of the world's most powerful telescopes, Webb, Hubble, VLT, and Sphere-X, have converged on interstellar visit at 3iAltas. What they found is rewriting astronomy, alien chemistry, metallic signatures, colossal size, and behavior no comet should show. With its Mars flyby just weeks away, this ancient messenger is forcing us to confront how little we know about the galaxy. Now, before I read some of the statistics here on what they're discovering, I just want to be very clear about this. It's like, how could we possibly assume that we know everything about our surroundings when we haven't even left our solar system yet? Just think about that for a minute. A lot of science is based on existing discovery. Okay, not stuff. We aren't hypothesizing. We are just, unless you're talking about sort of further mathematics or something. But outside of that, where you have to sort of hypothesize, we are applying a limited brush to a spectrum so broad, I believe it's infinite in terms of its resources. And when I'm saying infinite in terms of its resources, I'm talking about elements associated with different types of objects. How can we possibly assume that everything on the periodic table that we have there now is every single element that exists in the cosmos, in the universe? How could we possibly come to that conclusion and go, nope?
Because we're overconfident humans. We think we know everything. That's why. But there's another video we watched, or I could pull it up. It's a little longer, but it talks about the composition of the asteroid, comet, whatever it is. And I was thinking earlier, like, how the fuck do we know what it's made of? It's hundreds of millions of miles away. How the fuck do we know what it's made out of? Like, oh, well, it's got 75% of copper. And how the fuck do you know? Like, what? Like, if they do know, then that makes me think that they know, as we previously talked about, that they know way, way more. That Hubble scope or the Webb. I've heard some weird things about the Webb telescope finding some things. They know so much more than they're letting us on if they know the composition of a rock millions of miles away. What do you guys? Where are you guys at on this?
Agree, 100%. Yeah.
This whole thing is it's. I mean, yeah, like to your point, Dave. I think you had mentioned like the fear, element, right? I believe in another realm after this. I believe, that this is just another dimension, that we are in a lower dimension at that because of some of the things that happen here and that we have to take witness in. And that when we leave here, it's an ultimate transformation. So to kind of think that we're the only ones, multiple dimensions, multiple timelines, it's kind of naive. The universe is limitless. And it goes on to infinity. So I don't think that we are alone. But the thing that is alarming here is that with all this going on, and it's not mainstream, my dad didn't even hear about it on the news. You know, they only put out what they want us to really pay attention to. And unless you're really going on and kind of doing your own, you know, looking at independent media, people who are diving in, they are going to NASA's site, you know, they're checking, and there's a whole bunch of these young astronomers who are out there, independent people who are monitoring this thing.
Right.
And it's supposed to go around the back of the sun, and it may hit the moon, and it may hit Earth. Well, that's fine and dandy. You know, I mean, hey, what happened to the dinosaurs? So I'm not going to sit here and run around and, you know, dig a hole and, you know, and try to hide from it. If that's what's to be and that's what's to come, then that's what's to come. The part here that I found super interesting is that, and I think that we're going to be talking about this here, that kind of interludes, or what is the word that I'm looking for here, Quentin?
Like a segue.
Kind of, yeah, the segue is that all of a sudden we have all this brass coming now to Quantico. And, you know, why are they doing that? Why are they all meeting? And are they going to be talking about, you know, what they're going to do? Because I have heard some, you know, some conversations have been saying that the government is going to use a nuke to blow it out of the sky before it hits us or the moon. What do you guys think about this?
I remember you telling me that. You told me that yesterday on the walk. I was like, what is this, fucking Armageddon? What are we going to get oil riggers up there too? You know, like,
well, if it was in a movie, it's predictive programming.
There you go. Oh, look at that. But yeah, U.S. military brass brace for firings as Pentagon chief orders top level meeting. Maybe they're just getting fired, like all the lefty, which this is the Guardian, which is a more liberal or democratic publication. So maybe he's going to get rid of it.
What do I think about the Earth spinning faster? You know, this is all a part of a program that was designed early in the 2000s, and in a way to conserve energy was all contrived by the liberals. If you stop those damn windmills, then I don't think we'll be spinning any faster.
That's good. That's good. Let's see. Well, now I'm going to share this screen instead. This says this is the Google AI overview. U.S. The Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, whatever you say his name, has summoned hundreds of generals and admirals to Quantico. The meeting is set for Tuesday the 30th. This unprecedented gathering has prompted widespread speculation and concern within the military and political circles. Guardian just said firings. We have an asteroid coming. Trump is sending military all over the country. I mean, it could be for numerous things. And yeah. I have a family in the military, and they said that this isn't unprecedented, that the top brass meets several times a year for, you know, a number of things. Like, okay, hey, we're thinking of switching to armed services boots. You know, it could be for anything. But as the disclaimer says, this is all speculation. It's all entertainment purposes. So we don't know. I mean, they could be meaning for all kinds of things.
Yeah, but given the fact that there is a, object, whatever it is, they're going to say it's a comet. To Dave's point, it has a material. It's got a reflection. It's got more than just gas and air and debris. They're going to be trying to do something to make sure that it's, because it disappeared. My concern is if it is a UFO or whatever they want to call it now, but let's call it what it is, right? If it is extraterrestrial, not of this world, if it has beings on it, that aren't human, another biological life form, putting, nukes in the air to blow it up, and it could potentially be another life existence. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that that's such a good idea? I mean, what if the nukes don't work and then we piss them off? Like,
I mean, we put satellites out there to try to get feedback. We put something out in the cosmos to send a message to other life forms. If they didn't respond yet and they didn't receive any of these transmissions with a warning or a threat, then this is all again contrived from a human that's sitting inside of a building that decides to say, this is what we saw in space with our $1 billion telescope, which no one else has access to look at the cosmos with, to break down even further until they release stuff. So again, I will take it with a grain of salt. They're going to throw a bunch of stuff your way to make you feel a certain way. Again, life is energy. So if they want you to feel a certain wavelength of fear and what that energy level is, they're going to release a bunch of stuff to heighten that. And that is the purpose that they do. It's a tool. It's a mechanism. Politics isn't one-sided or two-sided, but they made it that way. There's a reason. They want us to be split. There has to be an argument. We can't ever come together. Humanity was once like that, and it was a lot calmer and greener, and things were thriving. Countries were actually able to be safe. Think of that for a moment. So, yeah, there's a lot that they're going to be doing. As far as nuking anything, I think the world government would have to come together before anyone else decides to step in, just besides the United States, because it's not just our country that has nukes as well. So how is the rest of the world reacting to this? Is Australia just as scared? Are places like Madagascar, worried about the livelihood of their wildlife? I mean, so there's a lot of things going on here. If no one's really calling up to NATO and asking about what the hell we're doing with that thing, I think we just keep pressing and moving forward. If that thing wants to make itself known, it's made itself known. If it wants to go even further than that, that thing is way more powerful and has a lot more technology. A nuke ain't gonna stop it, but it can.
For
It
sure.
can hurt a lot of other people. So there's a lot of blowback that comes from just doing that. So it's not, and I understand all that too. So pretty interesting things that let's just see. Maybe there's a reason why they say that the way they release information is designed in a certain way. Maybe there's something that goes on once there's a bigger event that happens inside our government that they don't want us to know, but they still did it. And it is known, but we were looking this way.
Yeah, well, and that's a good point, Dave, because there have been also conversations about, allegedly that that the NATO might be going to, pick up arms against the big I country. I call it IHOP, code word for a large country next to a smaller country that is fighting to, basically not lose their land. And supposedly from, what there have been rumblings of is that potentially NATO is going to take up against IHOP. And we all know IHOP is very close in proximity to working with another country that is a very powerful country that we live in. And this is all allegedly. So, maybe that could be another possibility of why they're meeting, to your point, Quentin, you said you have a family member that's in the military. I think it's that Greg, right? That, says that this often does happen. And I can admit as well that, we gather in the military and they give us information that the general public, the civilian sector is not aware of. And I can attest to being a part of meetings like that. So I do know that they call people together, but I do know that there's a lot going on that they're not talking about in the news, again, because they don't want to incite general panic across the board. But It is good to be aware of these things so that, having the open conversations, not being fearful of these things, to your point, Dave, that, we need to be level headed. We need to keep the conversation open. Could it be put out there, so that people, start worrying and their vibrational energy goes down because they get depressed? Well, what does it matter? The asteroid's going to come and hit us, but we do need to remain hopeful, and we do need to start coming together like this and using our voice, talking about these things, bringing awareness to it, because we, the people, essentially, no matter what happens, no matter what goes on, it's going to be us that's going to have to work together as a people. And I think that's an important thing to note. And we have to lift each other up, and we have to stay aware, because we can't take anything at face value these days.
No, and we got some comments in here that West Virginia Wildman said that there is supposedly they sent probes on the dark side of the moon. So there's, and that's what's his name? Stephen Greer. I don't know. Stephen Greer's been following. He's got a documentary. He's on Amazon Prime, that says, if being like, I think Dave mentioned that we can, like almost like a false flag event. Oh, it's aliens, but really it's us. That if we are so behind on technology, they're not releasing technology, that if they've brought us all up to speed all at once, it would look alien, because they've kept it behind us, they've kept it hidden, and there's a lot of stuff going on even back to Hollywood, that they've, like, the CGI from 2001 is so much better than the CGI from 2024, and it's specific so that they can create things that look 100% real, but they're like, they've put it in our heads that they can't, because you look at movies, they're like, oh, that CGI sucked. This has got to be real, because they can't make stuff like that, but they can. And there's, probes on the dark side of the moon. Supposedly there's alien bases on the dark side of the moon, or they say that there's aliens on the bases on the dark side of the moon. And there's the Fermi paradox, that there's like 39 million stars just like our sun in our Milky Way galaxy, but then the probability is that there should be life, there should be interstellar life, we should see space, travel all over the place, but we don't. So either they're hiding it from us or it doesn't exist, and the probability is that it exists. So I know that LJ's a big UFO, that down that rabbit hole. She's mentioned she was in the Air Force. She was at Wright-Patterson, where supposedly the alien spaceship parts went. And I don't know if she saw, but Fort Myers, is it Fort Myers? Yeah, Fort Myers Beach has a live cam on it all the time. And I can't zoom in it, but right here, this object, am I sharing my screen? Can you see my mouse?
I see it.
It's a little thing. You see my screen, but you can't see my mouse. Okay. But right at the top of the screen there, you could see a little line, right? It's okay, maybe it's a scratch on the camera lens, but it never moves. It's there. And I was thinking of that movie, Nope. Have you guys seen that movie, Nope? No, it's a Jordan.
It's a good one.
It's a Peel, where they say they're watching this film, or they're trying to capture it. So they get this excellent film producer, and he's looking at it, or I'm sorry, they get hired to put cameras on it because some weird stuff are happening. And the guy watching the cameras notices that this cloud never moves, but this thing right here, and I can't zoom. I could zoom in on my tablet, but if you zoom in, it looks like individual lights, like it's blocked up. It's very, very interesting. and that's live all the time. So you'll see it right there, and it's like this. This is like a hotel or something like that. It's very, very weird. What do you think, Dave?
I don't know what to think. I mean, where's this camera at?
This is at Fort Myers Beach.
How far is that from you guys?
Fort Myers, I think, is a couple hours away, maybe even less. Let's look right now.
I mean, on my screen, I can't really see anything, so I don't know what to think.
Yeah,
I'm sure what you're saying is
it's
there.
3
Yeah,
hours.
we
3
have
hours.
seen it. We have seen it in another view. It doesn't seem like I could, right here in the view that you're showing right now, it can't see anything right now, but there have been sightings where it wasn't moving and you can see lights in it that are coming on and going off, and it's odd. It's
Oh,
definitely
there you
odd.
can see it. Right now I could see my
Right where
mouse.
that light is, just right where that light is, like, that's probably the moon. There's your mouse.
There's the
Oh,
moon.
right there. Yeah, there
Yeah,
it is.
right here. And like I said, I tried. Oh man, it's gotten like, I don't know, like it's live right now. But it's
Yeah, it's a little odd.
right here, and it's okay. That's why I said it could be a scratch on the screen or on the camera that they don't want to. The city doesn't want to pay to have somebody squeegee off, but at night it's got lights because there's the moon, the stars. It just sits right there. And we've seen videos of drones and stuff like that doing like sequented flights and stuff like that to make pictures. So it's definitely interesting. But let's see what else. So we did that. So Dave emailed me that the former FBI director, James Comey, has been indicted for lying to Congress and lying under oath. Let me share this screen now with an article. This is right from the horse's mouth. This is from the Office of Public Affairs, U.S. Department of Justice.
Yeah, it's from a testimony that he gave in 2020 in making false statements to Congress, obstruction of congressional proceeding about the Russian investigation.
Which,
and this is the crazy thing that was released that I thought was really pressing, I guess, because it had to be pressing because the obstruction, the alleged perjury was expiring Tuesday. So there was a timestamp on which this would actually expire, and you can't actually go after if there were legalities attached to this on any side. You wouldn't be able to do this. They would have expired. So they actually went out, did what they were again. It was what the government's supposed to do when they get information of this sort. Obviously, 5 years is a long time, but uh, based off the information that they get from here, we'll see. Now, a lot of people are doing a lot of comparison with the indictments that were happening that they were trumping up when Trump was running for presidency. Obviously, we know about the 34 felonies, and we know about all this that was made up. Now, going after a president and what they're being held for their indictments compared to someone sitting in office and being a director of said office, there are different levels to that. And on the federal level, if you're a civilian in the private sector, you would imagine that you would be having, if they're coming after you and it was expiring, that this would be actually kind of pressing. And there is some damning evidence that they have on this. Hence why not all of the information is being divulge at this time that we are talking.
yeah, they gotta keep a couple things close to the vest so that they can't. But I remember that I watched like Cash Patel was the one that kind of did the investigations for the whatever the Russian, all that stuff, the Steele dossier. They figure out that it was all crap. Like,
Right.
and Comey was one of the see, I saw somewhere, is it Comey or Coney? It's
Comey.
Comey? Comey
Yeah.
with an M.
Yeah.
Well, so they that's what I thought, but I pulled up an article and a different article. But yeah, they yeah, Cash Patel, the Steele dossier, the whole Russian laptop, all that stuff, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's cool, it's cool." So I think that what's his name, Chris Ray or WRAY, he's going to be next probably because I think I watched just too long ago him
Well,
just like, no, I don't know anything about that or this or that, like
it's going to
bureaucratic
be,
jargon.
they're going to go after who they need to go after until the domino starts falling. And once they start doing that, that's when, I guess, quote unquote, draining the swamp begins. Because this is kind of where all that stems from his first campaign.
Yeah. I mean,
Getting in office, not knowing how a president actually works and knows what you can actually do. You know, he didn't have voices on his team. His team now is able to educate him and get him in the right direction, and he knows how to accomplish things and get things done a little bit better than his first term. So once we get the right people in there, that we're going to ask them some questions. You know, hey, this is some serious thing. It's in a matter of, public interest and in a matter of, uh, uh, democracy that you took an oath under. We're going to get some dominoes from people being questioned. So kind of
I hope
exciting
so.
on that. That's kind of exciting
I
on
hope
that.
so. I like how my favorite though is how they took Trump to court several times. Well, when they uh, impeached him twice, the House impeached him twice,
Right.
took him to court, felonies, felonies, felonies. Nobody's above the law. But then, like this one, no one above the law says Pamela Bondi. But then they're like, "Oh gosh, how dare you? How dare you try to take us to court?" But
Right.
then, a year ago, they're like, "Nobody's above the law. I am the law." And then they're like, "Oh no, not it doesn't apply to me."
Right.
And
Funny that
that's
you bring that up, because the actual fact is, when you actually look at it, both of parties separately, the Democratic administration actually right now, like as we're sitting here, uh, they have gone further in charging the political adversary that they run against. And in fact,
yeah,
I believe it's 4-2.
wow. And it's nuts. I want to take a minute and say thank you for everybody for tuning in. If you could like, subscribe, and share the podcast, that would be great. It would do a lot for the show, and I really appreciate it. If you have any topics, we have one more topic, and then we're gonna go into open forum. And I encourage everybody that's watching to comment in, and we'll talk. We'll talk about everything. And I'm just excited that you're all here. I'm excited to talk about this stuff. I just want to take a minute to thank you all for tuning in. And the one comment, or the one Dave also emailed me about Jimmy Kimmel came back. We said that he didn't come back. We thought he was coming back this Tuesday, but he came back like last Tuesday.
Did you give the
And
video for the monologue?
I got it pulled up here.
Because there's only the only interesting part there. It's listening to the whole thing would be kind of ridiculous, but there's
I think I found a video that's 2 minutes. So
there's a good chunk.
yeah, let's let me get my screen sharing. I got to get used to this. And let's watch.
It
was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do.
He focused much of his monologue on.
Oh, it's a video. Like you think that's legit? Those tears, that emotions. You think that's because of Charlie Kirk? Or you think that because he almost lost his show? I think it's because he almost lost his show.
Well, from the moment he walked out, there was a lot of things for him to get to the point to where he is talking. And it was more of like an overwhelming of a thank you back to the people for getting him back, because without them, he did go to Disney. He did have these closed door meetings to try to get his job back. But without the people, they actually probably wouldn't even consider his show to go back on. And because this is a matter of, and again, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, as long as you have some, really strong beliefs and you have a good faith system and that's what you believe. Who am I to fault you? I can't say you're right. I can't say you're wrong. I just like to have a conversation and actually be able to talk to somebody who doesn't have the same values or the same things as me, and we can actually still talk. So freedom of speech, that's number one. And
I agree.
You could say what you want about Jimmy Kimmel personally, all of that, but that's freedom of speech. You should be able to be up on their stage. If you don't like what he's saying, you have a remote. Change the channel.
Yeah.
And then when did a friend of mine watching TV come to me and be like, I care about something like this to a point where it's like we're actually talking about it?
Yeah, that is.
That's happening. That's happened way more in my lifetime now. It's like when I met you when we were hanging out over there on Friday nights, we weren't talking about, hey, did you put Jimmy Kimmel on?
No, I was always a Jimmy Fallon fan, personally.
Well, even then, that's what I mean.
It's no like, hey, let's put on a late night talk show. No, I was actually just telling a friend how you and I had a night of debauchery, and we got back to the place, and we watched Young Frankenstein, and we were crying, laughing about Young Frankenstein, just a classic film that was just hilarious. I was actually just talking to a coworker about Young Frankenstein. Oh, that's a good one. I was like, yeah, we watched it. We were crying, laughing, because I did watch the Gene Wilder documentary on Netflix, and it was good. I mean, that guy's he's a treasure. Like,
oh, for sure.
I'm a really talented surgeon. I can really help you with that hump. Boom. What hump? Let's get going. Just it's pronounced Frankenstein. Oh, they told me Frankenstein. No, Frankenstein. You must be Igor or Igor. No, it's pronounced Igor.
Yeah.
Just so good. So good.
It's literally one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. It's pronounced Igor. I guess they got it wrong, didn't they? He's so great. And the Mel Brooks was in the documentary talking about Gene Wilder, how he went over the top. Like, it was so good. It was like he was actually really stressful having and he went over the top with what's the name of the brain you put in? Abby what? You promise you're not going to get mad? I promise. Abby something or other. What's the last name? Abby Normal. So you're telling me that I put an abnormal brain in a 6'7", 300-pound gorilla? It's great. It's such a phenomenal movie. And you know what's a shame? You can't find it anywhere. So you can't stream it anywhere. And so, I gotta hope it's in the $5 DVDs at Walmart. I'm scrolling on the news because now we've got to the part of the show for the open forum. but just Q&A, open forum. Anybody watching, I encourage to comment the show. I like to interact with the audience. I want to hear from you guys. What are you talking about? What's on your mind? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Let's get into it. Comment, like, subscribe, view it, share it with your friends. Let's chew the fat together. I want to know what you guys are interested in, what topics are on your mind, because we're just talking about what we want to talk about. We're chewing the fat with each other, but we want to chew the fat with you too. So if you're watching, comment to the show. Let's talk. LJ, you got anything you want to talk about? Any hot gossip?
So I do want to just say that I agree with Dave. I think that more and more that we're seeing this left-right narrative, which is very unfortunate. I was never very political in the first place. Yes, I was in the military because my father was in the military, in the Army, in the 82nd Airborne. My grandfather was in the Navy. I'm actually the first woman in my family that served the country. And I felt it was a great honor, but I never really, at that point in my life, that was back in 2000 and 2005, guys. So, there wasn't such this like terrible extremism that I remember with the left and the right, the Democrats and the Republicans. I mean, I knew, yes, there was those parties, but it wasn't this intense radicalism. And you're seeing it on our news anchors and the rhetoric that they put out, and even some of the political figures that use this rhetoric. And it's unfortunate that that's happening. And how the older you get, you see how things start to become more prominent. As like I said, it wasn't prominent in 2000, not as bad. And yes, there was a lot of things going on at that time, but it seems like the more we're kind of walking forward, they're starting to impinge or infringe on some of our rights. So, oh my gosh, now you can't talk about, IHOP. You can't say anything, negative or bad. And that kind of goes back to, Charlie Kirk. He was for IHOP, and he was definitely, aligned with, but just like the United States of America, there's the people and there's the government. And it's just like IHOP. There's the people over there and there's the government. And now, there's been a law passed in Texas that you cannot say hate speech about IHOP. And that kind of is a little interesting as to why, Charlie Kirk seemed to have lost his life, because now, he was kind of turning the corner where he was offered $150 million and he refused to take that money because he didn't feel maybe 100% aligned in the government side of things, not necessarily with the people or the location, because he had such a strong religious faith. And he really enjoyed being there and being close to where Jesus was and performed miracles. And, so it's interesting that this whole narrative is coming out. And now, they take Jimmy Kimmel off, and I watched it. I'm not a Kimmel fan. I'm not at all a Kimmel fan, nor really watch. To your point, Quentin, I think I've always been more so a fan of what's the other guy's name?
Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. And, but they knocked Jimmy Kimmel off the air, and I don't think his comments were, terrible. They were just basically, like he was just basically saying that the guy was a Trump fan, a Trump supporter. Well, he got it half wrong, because it was his father that was the MAGA. The son got more political when he went to college. So, and he was with, yes, an individual. His partner is a transgender individual. But, why does that have to mean left or right? This individual chose to do something with his body, but they keep putting this in this separate categories. Why are they doing this? because they want people to see this division, and they want people to only speak what their narrative is. Just like COVID. Remember COVID? You guys remember
Yeah.
that? We couldn't talk about it. And we only could do one thing, and you better get the boop boopy doop doop. Otherwise, they were removing YouTubers, they were deplatforming doctors, and this is alarming. What do you guys think about them coming for? Do you see that? Am I the only one? Do you see that they're coming for?
I saw when it was happening. When COVID was happening, and we were talking back then, and I know your opinions on both of that's probably only gotten a little bit stronger, but more information that was coming out, and you have somebody that kind of represents a body of people that actually were thinking the same thing in that same time period, and then kind of wants to give the rights back. They want us to go out and vote, but they also want us to vote for what they fucking want to make decisions over. One's more important than the other. They want our vote, but at the same time, they don't want us to talk about anything. Just be a number and punch the ticket, idiot.
Yeah, that's like George Carlin. They don't want educated populace. They want obedient workers. People just smart enough to run the machines, but dumb enough not to ask questions. And we like to ask questions, especially in this age of internet, the Internet of Things, that everything's out there. So going all the way back to the beginning, that peak prosperity says it's very odd for all those people that are at Charlie Kirk's his last event, that there's only 4 or 5 really good videos or credible video. Or why is it there more? Like, there was thousands of people in that crowd with cell phones watching, but there's only a few videos of that. And I'm for, in a proverbial sense, getting the Pandora out of her box, letting everybody know what's going on. Like, because transparency. I should say I want transparency. I don't want Pandora out of the box. We know how that story ended. But in this day of age with technology, everything's at your fingertips. How are you going to say it's 1984? And that's what the media is doing, predictive programming, all that stuff. Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? Like, and that's we're done with that. I think as a society, we're done with the lies. Like, just be straight with us. If it's bad, it's bad. People will panic, but they'll get over it. They're like, okay, I think, and I said in a previous video, I think, and it may be naive of me, but I think most people are inherently good. Like, they want to do good. It's everything that's in between, and it's as simple as like the putting your cart back. Like, but people, I think everybody wants to put their cart back, when they're done. But what happens is you're inundated. The society's telling, well, I got to do this, this, and this. I got to be fast. I got to be quick. I got to do this. I have to do that. If I don't get this done, I'm not a good person. If I don't do that, I'm not a good person. Oh, if I, but what I drive is who I am. Where I work is who I am. But you strip all that away, I think people want to be, and they do what's good, and I've used the analogy before that it's like pop-ups on your screen. Like, that's what our society is doing, is putting pop-up on our screen. And if we clear that away, we want to be good people. We are good people. But it's everything else. And then we go back, we could say it's of demonic or spiritual, what's driving it. Or it just could be just straight greed of these corporations, greed of these politicians, greed of ourselves, that we need more, we want more, because we're programmed, where commercials are put on, that's what we need. That's what gives us meaning, where really us, just like this, talking to each other, connecting with each other, is what we need and what we want more of. And if you can't be with your friend in person, like David, you be out with your friend on the internet. The internet is a tool. And we have to start purposing it for good, for light, for righteousness. Like Charlie Kirk, he was out there. He was not, in my opinion, wasn't spewing hate. He was just talking, and I don't want to make the correlation between Charlie Kirk and Jesus, but Jesus was doing the same thing. He was out there preaching a message of love, of light, of learning yourself. Like, hey, don't beware of false prophets. And we look at, and it's a broader thing. Beware of false professors. Beware of false institutions. Beware of false products. Beware of all of it. Like, look at it critically. See things objectively. There are objective truths. There are objective realities. This is it, and everything that tries to skew you from that truth could be labeled as evil or nefarious or not, just plain not good for you, your human spirit, your friend's spirit, for the betterment of the planet. That's my monologue. That's my rant. Anybody else who wants to go next?
Yeah, I mean, just it's hard to be a rational person if you're already irrational, and you got a lot of things going on, and who doesn't? But they try to make things more important, tell you things are more important than the others, so you now have to adjust, and you'll have to shake up the system and within your surroundings and in your environment, to make a direct impact around your livelihood, as majorly as a big ship in space that we can both be in. You're in Florida, I'm in Ohio. We both can look up the sky and still see it, as big as that is and how small as we are. You can't go on thinking in that kind of direct like impact. Now, the more powerful something becomes is by numbers. You know, I'm only as big. I'm only can help as much as I can by the village I built. And if that message doesn't go any further and it stays to a certain point, well, then somebody locally better start talking too. You know, not everybody has these access and the means to know how start the conversation. I guess fear has been placed inside of them to quiet them. They listen to that inner demon that's already attacking their minds from their free thought, when they can at least once have a dream or once have a random thought that was kind of childlike as an adult, and they try to attack that little thing. Yeah, it could be a fear thing too, but look at what they're doing with the children in 2025, and that is something that's a part of our culture. It is allowed, and is now being like looked at as like, you're crazy for thinking. uh why would you question anybody who had to use a restroom? Why does the girls have to be separate? And you look like the crazy one for bringing it up. It never was like that, and that's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of like, people do have rational thought, but they're irrational people. It's very hard to put yourself in a position uh where you have that similar belief and can have that mode and have that action and have that engine going where it's running in sync. A well-oiled machine. Turning Point USA is a good example of that. It didn't have 34,000 people when it first started. So it starts small, starts little, and just like anything, uh, you got to be able to welcome that other side. You Not to say that anything we're talking about is factual or fiction, or a narrative that is stronger or better than the opposition, but I more lean towards the right, But I'm
Yeah.
not going to say anybody who's a liberal can't watch this. If they want to comment and say something and ask LJ a question about her stance on anything, anybody's just welcome to
Yeah.
share their thought.
Yeah.
And,
No,
and
absolutely.
that's where I wrote down the one thing that what people think Jimmy Kimmel in this monologue, because he goes over what he was trying to do and how satirical comedy in late night television has been perceived as reality. So he's like, I was never my intention to have that end the way it did. I was telling a joke about a man who was grieving about a friend and ran a video. Okay. And he was explaining the joke. And then they put a video on of Donald Trump, and the reporter asks, hey, how are you grieving, by the way, with the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk? And he goes, well, good. Over here, we got the grand ballroom construction trucks about to start. Okay. And then it cuts to Jimmy Kimmel, and he goes, well, he is grieving, and one of the stages is construction. Okay. And he set it up very good, and it was funny. And it was a funny joke. But he started it out on the back end of Charlie being shot. The setup was lost because they thought he was going a completely different direction. And the joke never landed. And he basically just went on there to explain that. And that's where the teary-eyedness comes in, of him sitting there thinking of like, well, how to write, and a lot of people think, and we talked about this last time, is like, this is cancel culture. It's like, this isn't cancel culture. This is just being held accountable for your actions.
Yeah. What do you think, LJ? Where are you at on all of it?
Yeah, no, I agree with David, Davidge. And I think things can be taken out of context. I don't want to lose our ability to have a voice. And I think now more than ever, just seeing this, Charlie was obviously very young still. And it's incredible what he was able to achieve in his 31 years. And hearing the hate is sad, or just even talking to somebody. I had a conversation with somebody last night picking up food, and it was a younger individual. So I feel like, she definitely kind of was more so leaning, like maybe thinking of that thought process that he was a bad person. He was hate speech. He was racist. And there's multiple videos of him that, he did not even see race. And so, that those things can be taken out of context, and then people end up hating people because they're only seeing one side of the story, not the full picture. And people can change their mind, and people can change their views on things. So they may say something one way, and then maybe 2 years come down the road, they change their mind completely. Are we not allowed to change our mind and have people beholden? So it's always kind of like that. It reminds me, Quentin, of that story in the Bible where they were going to stone Mary Magdalene because she was, she was doing things that she shouldn't be doing. And all the people picked up stones, and Jesus came and he said, hey, who of you has not sinned,
Yeah.
and you have not sinned, I guess you could throw the first stone, basically, and so it just is kind of like, I think that's a reminder, to all of us, is that we're all, imperfect. We're all sinners. We're all imperfect. And we should try to, to your point, to be a better presence in the world, and to be good and kind to one another, as Jesus did show us to. That was his message. Treat thy neighbor as you would treat yourself. So I think us coming on here and being able to speak and use our voices, and hopefully this encourages young folks out there that who may be in a dark place. You're not alone. And we all have crazy thoughts that come in. We have a shared consciousness. We all end up having some of the same thoughts. You think that, you're the only person that's thinking these thoughts, and it's absolutely not true. We have to be conscious of what those thoughts are and how they're coming into our mind, and saying like, hey, is this, this doesn't feel right to me, and choose a better thought, and definitely talk to people if you're having, thoughts of harming yourself, concerns that you might want to harm others. Quentin, he works in the hospital, so he sees a lot of that as well. So definitely, we do have to be careful and pay attention to kind of like what we're thinking, and choosing a better feeling thought, and talking to people that are our friends, and having open conversation. It's okay to disagree with one another. And if we were all the same, there will be no spice of life. So
No.
we absolutely have to have difference of conversation, difference of opinions, and how we view the world, and openly talk about it. And it's okay. Have a debate. Even if something Charlie said didn't jive with you, he was out there.
Yeah.
And I think he
Have
inspired a
open
lot of us.
dialogue.
Yeah. And he inspired a lot of us to, hey, pick up a mic, get on a YouTube, share your story. Maybe you're going to make an impact.
Yeah. I mean, you don't, and sometimes it just takes, like you said, I work at the hospital. Sometimes it just takes listening to somebody for 5 minutes. Like it's not a lot. Like that's the thing. It takes almost zero effort. And like I said before, like I think we want to be good. So it takes almost zero effort to be kind to somebody, to listen to somebody. Like, and it took me a lot, like a lot of people like to get defensive. A lot of people like to, and it took me a lot. Like sometimes people just want to hear like, hey, that does suck. I'm sorry you're going through that, and and to do that, and to take that time, because that is the thing, that is the resource that we don't get to renew, is time. And to give somebody that, even if it's 5 minutes, is worth the world, because some of these people, nobody's given them any time. And it makes a world of difference to them that you've listened to them. You say, hey man, you're not alone. It does suck, but, and I read a lot of stoicism and stuff like that, and that's why I say, well, like, oh, your day sucks, like what are you going to do, lay down and give up? That's not an option. You just have to grit your teeth and get over it. Get your teeth, grit your teeth, get through it, and it's going to be okay. Alan Watts says, so, he has a quote that it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out, because if it didn't, we wouldn't be here. And
Yeah.
that's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if you're feeling bad, I just try to do something that makes me feel better. Take a hot shower, do things that I enjoy and that make me feel uplifted. Watch a funny movie. We
Watch a funny
always
movie.
watch. Yeah, watch a funny movie. We
What
always
about
watch
Bob?
What About Bob? Yeah,
I feel
I'm
good.
okay.
I feel great.
I
I
feel
feel
good.
wonderful.
So
Yeah.
if you're in a dark place, just put on What About Bob, and that
Yeah.
will
That's a good one.
surely
That's definitely a good one.
brighten your
And
mood.
yeah, that's, and then with the stoicism, like Marcus Aurelius, and we don't do a lot of introspection. People don't look at what they're thinking, or are mindful of their thoughts. And that's what you should do. Like if you're having like a real rough time, you ask yourself, is this necessary? Is what I'm doing necessary? Is what I'm thinking necessary? And where is it in my realm of control? Is it in, is this, whatever I'm going through, is this in my control? Can I do anything about it? And no, then you have to put it aside, table it, and go on with your, I use at work a Robert Frost quote. I say the easiest way out is always through. And and that's with any tough situation. The easiest way out is through. Like, because if you delay it, if you try to side skirt it, it just delays the problems. It just holds them off, and you have to still deal with those problems. So it's just best to get through it. Just go through. It's gonna suck, but it's it's the easiest way out of the situation you're in, is just to go through it.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
But we were talking about, I think David brought it up, is emotions and rationality. People like, and that's what, I mean, I haven't dealt with, but you see in Charlie Kirk's videos that the people are debating him, and they're, they go tit for tat, and then they can't, then they're like, then Charlie Kirk was really good at getting the aha moments. He was really good at that, like where people are like, wait a minute, he just made a really good point. But because of their conditioning or their indoctrination at the school, that's what he went to college because they're indoctrinating people to think a certain way or be a certain way. And he was good at breaking that a little bit. We're like, wait a minute, you made a good point. But they led with their emotions, so then they would just attack him. Oh, well, you look funny, and it just insults and slews. And that's another thing that a friend sent, is that this guy, and we were talking about the relationship with God and Jesus, that he sent. This is, somebody put Real Talk with Julie 274, this video of this he's a pastor somewhere, asked Chat GPT what it would do if it were the devil, which actually mirrors a interview with Paul Harvey. I guess I don't know a lot about Paul Harvey. He was like a radio broadcaster or something like that. Has a speech from 1965 that this is very similar to, and we'll watch this, and then I think we'll call it a night.
You are the devil. And maybe you are. I asked ChatGPT, if you were the devil, and maybe you are, if you were the devil, what would you do? And the answer that came back at me shook me in my shoes. I wouldn't waste my time trying to get you to worship me. No, I just convince you not to worship God at all. I tell you, truth is relative. Your truth, my truth, until nobody knows which way is up. I'd whisper, as long as you're happy, it's right. I'd keep you busy, too busy for prayer, too busy for church, too busy for crew. I'll put that one in. Too busy to ask eternal questions. I'd fill your hands with a phone so you'd never have time to fold them in prayer. I'd break families, get fathers absent, marriages bitter, and kids confused. If I can fracture the home, I can fracture the future. I divide the church, petty arguments, comparison, offense, celebrity culture. If I can get Christians fighting each other, they'll never fight me. I'd desensitize you. I'd glamorize sin in movies, normalize it in music, laugh at it in comedy, and celebrate it in culture until what once shocked you now entertains you. I'd attack your identity. I'd make you question who you are, where you belong, and whether you matter. I'd whisper shame so loud you can't hear God's voice of love. And through it all, I wouldn't even try to prove I exist. My greatest trick is to convince you I'm not real. Because if you don't believe I'm real, you'll never resist.
Wow. Like, that's pretty wild. And, we just have to go out there and try to be good. We really do. We just have to go out there, do our best we can, give somebody a kind word, and be kind to ourselves. I think everybody's very self-critical. We just have to be kind to ourselves and make sure that we try to go through life with love. And that's, that whole chat. I mean, I've seen videos of these asking some crazy chat GPT, some crazy questions, but that's very similar to Paul Harvey's If I Were the Devil. But I want to thank everybody that tuned in. I want to thank my co-hosts, David and Laura, Awakened LJ. Here's the disclaimer. Everything that we talked about in this show was informational and entertainment purposes only. All statements, discussions, and analysis. I don't know how to even say that word. Everything that we analyzed reflected personal opinion, speculation, or alleged. And if you like the show, subscribe, and share it. And also, donations are much appreciated. If the more that we can donate, the better we can make the show, more production value, stuff like that. I do appreciate all of you coming in and watching. And till next time, God bless and have a safe time.
Well, then you won't, then you rather not go. I'm gonna say it to you. These three little words, and they mean that we are through.